Now for a little rest after. Wait a sec. Isn't something important supposed to happen? Oh, today's our big day! We're supposed to leave the Fortress of Mirapede!
Please, sign here. This document will be effective immediately upon signing, and you two may—
It's been so long since we've been to the surface. Let's hurry. Huh?
What's happening? I'm fine, thanks.
Let's go ask the Duke. Your Grace?
Ah, good to see you two.
Yeah, what was with that earthquake just now?
Ah, that. The tremor didn't originate from the sea. Over the years of serving as the warden here, I've developed a sense for distinguishing between what occurs on the surface and what occurs underwater.
So the fortress is okay?
If you recall our last incident, if there really were a problem, there would be—
Huh, you've got a point. Okay, by the way, do you know—
I believe today is this—
Wait, seriously?
Ah, yes.
Yep. It's you two. Are you leaving now? That's right! Today is our last day in prison. But now that Paimon says that, it doesn't feel like— Oh yeah, Paimon feels fond of this. Then be sure to come back and visit. I'll miss—
If you've signed the release papers, then you're free to go. The guards will—
You're not going to see us off?
I knew you'd ask. All right, sure.
Well, you actually agreed. No worries, you must—
Ah, so you do have a polite side.
After being down here for so long, I imagine you must feel like you're lacking companionship. Yeah, don't worry, we'll come back to see you. Paimon really likes the cafeteria here.
I hope you won't be here as convicts the next time I see you.
We'll do our best to stay out of trouble. Well, it seems our work in the Fortress of Mirapede is finished. That's the end of another chapter, and we should probably go report to him now. Next up, the Palais You're going to see Monsieur Nervillette? Please pass on our kind
I'm sure just your regards will do.
I believe it would be the
You're right. I've heard the Palais has been terribly busy these days.
Palais Mermonia sure is buzzing with activity today.
Halt! Huh? Oh, it's you two. Excuse me. Would you mind helping me? I'll be right there. Sorry, I've got my hands full here.
Everyone's so busy. Seems a... Neuvillette!
Hello. You've come at the right time, but you'll have to wait. In the meantime, please, have a seat. If you'd like...
That's all right. We just ate.
Very well, then.
Let's take a break over there while we wait for him to finish his work.
All right. That should wrap things up for...
Are you done with your work?
Yes, sorry to keep you waiting. Today should be the day you were released from the fortress of Meripede. And it appears that you've...
That's right. And we came here to see you right away.
A massive...
Do you have any idea what that might be?
Judging from your description, that cannot have occurred in any ordinary waters, but rather a whale of that size and shape cannot usually be found in the waters of Tevat. Therefore, we can only assume that child is presently...
Immersed in primordial seawater? But how? And is he okay?
Most people wouldn't be capable of entering in the first place. I'm not completely sure how he could have gotten there myself. Yes? What is it?
Ah, right. Paimon felt it too. We asked the Duke and he said it wasn't from underwater, so we figured you might know something about it.
It turns out that I have just received a report about this particular matter. The source of the tremor was here on the surface near Poisson. After the shaking stopped, the water levels in the Poisson...
The water levels rose? Oh no.
Fortunately, the water levels only rose for a short period of time and have already returned to normal. If the change in water levels is connected with the leaking primordial seawater, then the situation in Poisson...
Navia should be in Poisson, right? We need to go check on her.
I would also like to go there as soon as possible, but I'm afraid I can't leave just yet. We must immediately formulate disaster prevention plans for the surrounding... I'll have to ask you two to go to Poisson first. I'll meet you there to check on the situation once...
There's no time to lose. Let's get going.
Please be careful.
Leaving administrators don't have
need to make sure she's still... haven't seen a single soul all the way here.
What will I ever do now?
Look, there's someone on the roof over there.
Just stay put. We're coming up. Watch your balance.
All right. I'm not young anymore.
Oh, he looks pretty sad.
My leg. How could this have happened?
Just hang in there. Help is on the way. You c-
Oh, it's Navia. She's over there. Hey, Navia, are you okay?
You're here.
We heard there was a situation in Poisson, so we can...
Yes. As you can see, the water level suddenly...
Demoiselle! There was a wounded resident next to a building southeast of here. We've already transported him to safety.
He's wounded? How...
He fell, so it's probably a broken leg. He's pretty shaken up. When the water level rose, he desperately climbed up to the roof.
He jumped down then. Find the leader of Squad 1 and tell him to take the wounded resident to see a doctor.
Understood. I'll take over his search and rescue mission in the meantime.
All right. You'll be in charge. I'm sorry.
This situation...
Right. Allow me to explain. A little earlier, we suddenly heard a loud noise. At first, everyone thought that something might have exploded, and the rushing water seemed a little odd, almost like the unique color of primordial seawater. Everyone on the street who happened to be close to the water didn't have a chance. Those who realized what was happening started to flee in a panic, desperately trying to get to higher ground. The Spina di Rosula initiated rescue operations as quickly as possible, but there have been a lot. The water that flooded the area contained primordial seawater, so the lower levels of Poisson are still... No one knows if this could happen again. All we can do for...
How awful. And all of this just came out...
It was quite frightening indeed. I only wish...
Is there any way we can help, Navia?
Thank you for being so willing to help in a moment of crisis like this.
Don't say that, Navia. That's what friends are for.
Demoiselle! We've got a situation here!
I'll be right there. Sorry, I need to go for now.
And off she goes. Seems it might be a while before...
Okay, the wounded are being tended to, and we finished a preliminary head count. Of course, we should remain ready for anything, and continue doing our best to rescue a traveler. Paimon? Would you...
Huh? Right now?
Thank you.
Yeah!
lot of people here, huh?
Well, given the time of day and the whole situation in Poisson...
Right. That's how things are now. The living are so...
Navia? Navia, what's wrong?
Sorry. I just... Maloose and Silver... They won't... What should...
Huh? What happened to them?
Everyone agreed on the rescue plan, but still... They were helping evacuate the rest, and...
What should we do?
I've known them for so long. And I could at least hold a funeral for my father. And I know where he rests. But as for Maloose and Silver, they're just...
Everything looks so clean after it rains. Even the gravestones. I didn't expect...
I can understand. Besides, the scenery here...
See, it's not just me. I always want to bring something when I visit Papa.
How could Master ever be upset with you, Yet the cemetery is the home of those who have passed, is it not?
Buying yourself a plot in advance, are you?
No need yet. But when I do, I hope you'll let me be buried beside Master Callus, Demoiselle.
Hey, stop joking around.
I'm quite serious. That way, it'll save us both the trip to see each other whenever you visit.
That makes sense. In that case, could I...
After all, besides you, Demoiselle, the two of us could certainly be considered.
Personally, I believe we fill the...
Why are you bringing this up all of a sudden? Seriously.
But I'd really prefer not to talk about this stuff. And what do you mean by saving me a trip? I'd make the...
I'd promised to let them rest in peace here. I'm sorry for letting you see me in a mess like this.
Paimon doesn't know how to help you feel better. But
I had always thought I could make my wishes come true. But now that I think about it, Maloose and Silver have helped me so much. I'm so sorry.
you can spend as much time as you need here, Navia. We'll stay with you.
Thank you. Right, by the way, you can have a look at this.
Obena, Khan, Burnett. So, everyone else is safe.
It's okay. I know what you're thinking. And you're right. We lost. The overall outcome indicates that the cost was worth it.
Right. Don't think that way, Navia. One person might be saved at the expense of another, sure, but that isn't... Maloose and Silver were not the price for saving anyone. They're heroes.
You're right. What you said just now was pretty amazing.
Oh,
Seems you've become more eloquent in the time since we last met.
the knave?
Is everything going well on...
Yes, my people are carrying out the mission according to your request. All the residents of Poisson have been evacuated. As for these supplies, we have everything taken care of.
Thank you very much.
Wait, do you two know each...
We just met recently. Right, Miss Navia?
Usually, I would call this a coincidental encounter. But that doesn't quite fit this time. Thanks to the knave, Spina di Rosula received generous support from the Fatui, which allowed us to complete the rescue.
Mutual aid is essential to fostering positive developments. We were already in the area, in any case, so it was nothing. That said, I must say that you're a lot sharper than...
I apologize for all the ways in which I tested you previously. We've never worked with My subordinates have reported that Fatui soldiers have been observing water levels and taking head counts in various locations.
This is nothing to brag about, nor do I intend to. It is simply the way of powerful organizations to act forcefully. Whether, as I've told this traveler before, I know of the prophecy, and I intend to prevent. Lending your organization a hand was a natural first step in accomplishing that. As such,
Without your help, there would have been many more casualties. I won't forget your kindness.
Furthermore, I sincerely regret what happened to Malus and Silver. I only wish that my people could have arrived a little—
Don't say that. You and your subordinates did everything you could. As Paimon said, Malus and Silver didn't choose to sacrifice themselves for any specific person. I've never liked hearing people put it that way. It's like trying to relieve pain by saying some noble-sounding words.
You're right. I'm sorry for your loss, Miss Navia. Water is life to Fontaine's people, and it also spells disaster. It's no wonder that people—
So, you're one who will try to change—
Of course. That is why I'm going to Hotel Bouffe de Thé. I still have some things. By the way, Traveler, Paimon, one more thing.
All right, then we'll just... Huh?
That is a clever and useful conversation technique, which I do like to use when necessary. Traveler, I'm sure you remember that I said we could work together. You and I both know that there may be issues with the Primordial Sea. Previously, it was the Fortress of Meripede's sluice. Indeed. Allow me to share the latest intel I've received from the House of the Hearths. During some recent investigations, a child claimed to have discovered some ruins near Poisson. The ruins date back to ancient times, and seem to be worth investigating. Judging by the dating of the ruins, they may be related to the prophecy and the coming crisis. My people initially came to prepare for ruin exploration. Unexpectedly, this disaster struck.
So that's why
I wanted to take the children along, but unfortunately, Linny, Lynette, and Fremine have all been dispatched to higher ground to— Linny told me that outside of the house, the person they trust most is— Which is why I want to give you this task. The House of the Hearths members see each other as family, but Linny, Lynette, and Fremine said that they also see you as such. I'm sure you already understand how earnest—
Oh! That's
The intel I just shared about the ruins could fetch a high price.
Got it! So all we gotta do is go to some ruins, right?
Excuse me, but may I tag along?
You wish to join, Miss Navia?
But are you sure you're up to exploring some ruins? You need to—
Well, I'm sad, yes. But I can't just go back. There's no point in being depressed while we still have a disaster on our hands. Besides, I'm also doing this for myself.
Since you put it that way, I have no objections. What do you say, Traveler? All right. The ruins are to the south of Poisson. Here's—
Okay, the three of us will handle it. Come on, let's pack up. So, are these the ruins the knave was talking about?
They seem to be pretty ancient.
Let's go in and have a look.
Just be careful.
Let the mighty be humble. Bow your head. This is order. Stabilize.
Here comes the finale.
Floor here isn't safe. This place has also been contaminated by...
Yeah. And a lot of it, too. A Fontanian would most likely dissolve the moment they fell in.
Right! You can't go down if there's primordial seawater. It's too dangerous, and it won't be any help for you to just stay. Don't get by my wrong. We're not saying it.
No, you're right. I can't do anything in this situation. I'll leave this to you. That complicates things. Maybe the...
In that case, do you want to wait for us here?
The water levels here are unstable, and there's a chance the water will rise. I'll go together with you. Perhaps we'll find the exit just up ahead.
All right. Come with us for now, then, but please... Oh no, it's a dead end! Let's try climbing over from the side.
Demoiselle? Huh? Demoiselle, what are you doing here by yourself? Would you be standing here till dark if I hadn't come?
Maybe she just wants some time to herself, Maloose.
Oh,
Yes, it would appear so.
That's quite possible. However, you were...
oh, right. It must have slipped my mind when I dozed off. This is a familiar feeling, yet...
Is something the matter, Demoiselle?
Oh, no. No, I was just trying to recall why we came out.
Do you remember Mr. Giverny? He'd requested our help before with foreign merchants who had a debt dispute.
We were headed to see how things were going with him at the moment.
Ah, right. Yes.
Oh, Miss Navia. Ah, Mr. Maloose. And Mr. Silver, too.
How have you been?
I've been great. Thanks to your help, those bothersome merchants finally realized that they were knocking at my door day and night. Even my neighbor, Obina, was getting...
Sometimes force is required to...
That's right. Oh, by the way, Burnett, what was it that you wanted to give to Miss Navia again?
Oh, yes. One moment, Miss Navia. These are some flower seeds that I prepared. Please take them. They're a very good variety. I don't know what we would have done without your help, so this is a little token of...
Ah, did you cultivate them yourself? Thank you so...
Why, we can have as many pots as you'd like, Demoiselle.
Perfect. In that case, we'll swap out some of the decorative plants for some of Mrs...
Very well.
Wait. Something's... Excuse me, madam. If I'm not mistaken, your name is...
That's right.
No, it's nothing. This is the first time we've ever met, but your name seemed familiar. I've heard this name before. Sometime recently, And why are there so few people around here?
We must mind the time, Demoiselle. We still have important things to attend to today.
Huh? We do?
Well, now, did you forget?
Miss Navia, here you are. I've been looking for you. Please, come to the...
My trial? Wait.
Yes, she's right, Demoiselle. It's just about time now.
Oh?
Look, it's Navia! She's here!
And her two attendants are with her. Goodness, everyone's finally here.
There sure are a lot of people here to see the trial. And they all seem to be oddly... Karina, Desiree, Joyville, Jolien, Essen. Why are so many people... And as for the judge... huh?
Please sit in the defendant's seat. Don't worry, Silver and I shall accompany...
All right. But are you sure you can stay...
Typically, it wouldn't be allowed, but today is...
Hey, what kind of place do they think this is?
Come on. Do they have any idea what they're doing?
Enough with the whispering! Could someone please tell me...
My dear Miss Navia, have you not yet realized what you've done? In that case, as all here know, you are Master Callus's successor, the head of the Spina di Rasula. After you took over the Spina, you treated all of us just like the late Master Callus had. If anyone, not only you, but your butler, your subordinates, nearly everyone in the Spina di...
Wait a moment. Aren't you just...
Yes, correct. Absolutely right. And that is why you stand accused. We are one big family, all of us who are from Poisson, inextricably linked. Therefore, this fair and honorable court shall declare you guilty, and you shall...
Huh? What are you saying? Everything you have said is correct. I have indeed done a lot for my hometown, and I...
Ah, well, if that's what you think, then...
How wonderful, Miss Navia!
I know all these people. Why are they laughing?
I seem to remember now. Yes, I get it. This...
Wait just a moment. This isn't right!
Malus?
What was that, Mr. Malus? Our conclusion is very clear and unanimous. Let the court judge her now. She's guilty!
Stay here, Navia! You're one of us!
Demoiselle, don't admit guilt. This trial means to keep you here forever.
I wish to exercise my right to defend Our Lady. Mistress Ronville, you only know of Navia's goodness, but nothing of her utterly independent mind.
She was born a free and independent spirit. She has never been tied down by anything. Indeed, even the death of Master Callus couldn't stop her.
Her actions cannot serve as proof that she identifies herself as part of any group. She merely acted as an individual. Please do not mistake her actions as being a...
Really? As an individual, you say? Don't forget, we are all Fontanians here. This is the nation of... Even if Miss Navia only voluntarily rendered her assistance, that doesn't change the fact that her beautiful... Everything is measured here in the nation of Hydro. And in the end, everyone shall... Now I speak for everyone. Our opinion is consistent. Navia should stay. We and...
And you would call this justice? Preposterous. You are merely... Have you forgotten how much you all once longed to become individuals? To become independent...
Do you mean to defy our justice?
If your justice is flawed, then why should we acknowledge it?
As you said, we can also have our own justice. And that is how we will enforce.
Ugh, my head...
Demoiselle!
Silver, it hurts. My head is spinning. I remember now. Everything that seemed odd from the very beginning. Karina, Desiree, Joyville, Jolien, Essen, and Mr. Giverny and Mrs. Burnett, who we met earlier. Even Malus and Silver. I don't want to admit it, but they're all dead.
Don't be afraid, and don't admit guilt. We will protect you.
Absurd! Who are you to say that she cannot be judged? We are the majority, and in the nation of trials, don't let them escape! We shall keep Navia here with us!
Mr. Malus and Mr. Silver, must you be so stubborn? How could the two of you possibly hope to stand against the collective? Do not resist. This judgment is fair and just. Navia belongs to us. After all that happened, she should not be left alone in Poisson.
What are you saying?
No more excuses!
He says we're jealous. Jealous? How could she possibly be an independent
What's with these people?
Who's jealous of her?
She belongs to us!
Miss Navia, she...
Silence!
That's...
Monsieur Neuvillette!
Such commotion is prohibited in the court. The accusations you just presented are nonsense and cannot constitute The court will adjourn for the rest of the day. In this, I shall hear no objections from any unauthorized
Our thanks, Monsieur Neuville.
Please leave with me, Miss Navia, while there is still time.
But...
Go on now, demoiselle. This is your only chance to leave this place.
Malus.
My apologies. I couldn't resist making one little joke once I realized that this shall be our last good...
Malus. Silver.
Quickly! You must come now!
Goodbye, demoiselle.
Farewell.
No, wait! Just a second!
Navia?
You're awake. Good.
I must have been dreaming. Malus and Silver were still alive, and...
It looks like you're all right.
Did all the sad feelings cause you to have a nightmare?
The ruins you were exploring suffered a cave-in. When I arrived, I found you fall. You were just about to be dissolved within, but I... I think I saw 2 Oceanids protecting you. It was only for a moment, perhaps even a fraction of a second, but they gave me the chance to retrieve you. Were it not for their intervention, I would not have been able to rescue you before your consciousness did—
Wait, did you say Oceanids? You mean like what happened with Vache?
Perhaps those 2 Oceanids were the people you saw in your dream.
I always told them that they didn't have to protect me.
Please come with me.
Neverlet, are you okay?
Oh, I am quite all right.
Why do you look so stiff all of a sudden? Oh, Paimon knows. You're the type who feels awkward when there's nothing to talk about.
I merely thought that we should give Navia some time to herself.
Huh? Why didn't you just say so then? Don't you think it's even more awkward?
I suppose so. Ah, Sigewinne. I hope all is well with her these days. Her work in the fortress of Meropide—
No way, don't worry. She's doing fine down there. She's an amazing head nurse.
I see. Well, that is good. I have always worried that Sigewinne would need a lot of time to—
Oh, and the Duke also says hi. Even though Sigewinne made him do that. He hopes that you haven't been overwhelmed by all that's happened lately.
Thank you. I have indeed been busy lately, and I also hope that everything is going well.
He still doesn't know what to talk about. Let's check. So, Neverlet, you're...
Yes, of—
This isn't going anywhere. Let's try something else.
Yes, in fact. I had arranged to meet you in Poisson, but when I arrived, I discovered that the Fatui were helping the residents evacuate. Amid my astonishment, I ran into the knave, and we had a chat. She informed me that she had asked you to investigate the ancient ruins here.
Yeah, we originally planned to meet up with you, but we thought you might still be busy with all those official documents. Weird.
I'm sorry to have kept you all waiting like that. I'm feeling much better now. I guess we should get going again. Will you come with us, Monsieur Neuvillette?
Yes, if you wouldn't mind my company.
All right! Another one joins the party! Let's get going then!
Water jet! Wipe out! Water jet!
Be sanctified. Settle down. Gather.
Dada Kondala.
blindsided.
Bombs away! I will have order. Settle down.
Almost at the top. Keep it up.
Stabilize. The tides beckon. Bow your head. Gather. Order guide you. Yeah.
Let's get this show on the road. And voila!
Looks like we've reached the end.
This is the place. There should not be any other hidden spaces.
The path sure had some twists and turns, but it turns out that this place isn't actually that big.
Stone slates. It seems like they were put here as an offering.
Perhaps we should just leave them be for now.
There are 4 locations in total, but only 3 stone slates. The slate that
The surrounding walls also show signs of...
There's something written below. Let Paimon see. Reason dictates that this nation be destroyed.
It feels like someone left these slates and these words here for a purpose. But does he mean that Fontaine should be...
That would fit the circumstances dictated by the prophecy, yes. Indeed, the slate's contents correspond to it. Take the second slate, for example.
There's a person kneeling here. She seems so dedicated. And there's a whole bunch of other people behind her doing the same. She's facing this...
And is that Lady Farina in the third image? Did the Hydro Archon fall into the water?
And is that a ring of people around her? Paimon doesn't quite get it. Are they all in the water?
The fourth image. I know this one. This exactly matches the content of the prophecy.
The people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain, weeping on her throne. More information should be hidden in these slates, but I fear I cannot easily uncover it, most likely due to us...
Don't blame yourself, Monsieur Nervalette. Deciphering ancient stone slates...
Ooh, Paimon's getting the chills just looking at these slates. This says that it's the history of the future, right? That means the prophecy's sure to come true.
I really hope it doesn't mean that.
Still, Paimon feels like these images are kind of weird.
That's right! If the images are in chronological order, shouldn't the fourth, the waters drowning Fontaine, come before the third, where the Hydro Archon herself falls into the water?
And yet the order is reversed here.
If we go by timing, Lady Farina only emerges in the third image. That means that the person in the second image...
Egeria, then. I had never met her, but her appearance here does match the previous Archon kneeling before the floating island in the skies, as if
Did she herself commit that sin? And also, I'm still wondering why these ancient stone slates are here at all. Judging from their contents, could this place be the origin of the prophecy?
But who would have created these slates and left these words here?
It seems that any further clues will have to come from...
In that case, there's no time to lose. There's nothing else to be gained here, so let's head...
Yeah, we better get somewhere safe for now.
Let's split up here. I'm going to check on what's happening with the Spina. You know how it is.
You still have energy for that, Navia? Paimon's already beat.
Just head back to the Fleuve Cendre and have a rest then.
I'll depart as well. Thanks for your hard work today. Rest well. Traveler, I will go talk to Farina tomorrow morning to ask about the stone slates. I'm sure that you're concerned about this matter as well. If you have time, drop by my office. I will...
Are you really going to talk to her about this directly? Will that be a problem?
She has long been harboring secrets, and will not give them up easily. Which makes it all the more my duty to ensure that she
All right, we'll leave it in your hands then. You're probably the best.
I will be carefully considering my words tonight.
Traveler, Paimon, our safe house at the Fleuve Cendre is always open to you, as ever. So please don't... All right. I'll be...
We're finally back!
Welcome back. We've got a special menu prepared for you two tonight.
Yay! And there's good food too! Navi, no. Ooh, desserts! Paimon's already starting to forget what happened today.
Oh, that voice. Is that who I think?
Huh?
It's you two. What are you doing in...
Mona?
Seriously, nobody just uses a scry glass whenever they...
Still, we didn't expect to see you here. Wait, you're not a...
Well, I have some business to attend to here, so I booked a hotel in the city. I was just out for a stroll. Why did you think I was from Fontaine, though? Is that because Magistus doesn't sound much like a Mondstatter surname?
Yeah,
Well, I used to have my own surname, which was, well, some other thing. Either way, the old hag told me when she took me as her disciple that the first step to being a great astrologist's pupil was to change that name. There was nothing for it, really. She really is amazing at astrology, so I changed my name to what it is now according to her wishes.
It isn't?
Nope. Although it is used by us in place of surnames, it generally just means great.
Wow! Imagine including a boast in your name.
I reckon so. In any case, I'd give my disciple a name like this as well, if I were to take Astromancer Barbeloth Trismegistus.
Whoa, that's a long one.
My name means Mona the Great Astrologist. As for the old hag, hers is, in plain speech, the thrice as great Scholar of the Stars. Just take it as a title specific.
Thrice as great? That's so...
I know, right? That's just how she is. She used to call herself Megistus.
Talk about excessive.
Megistus is thus the calling card of our school, so to speak, which makes it about the same as a surname. It's all right if you don't get it. You can look into it further.
That sounds terrible! But anyway, you're not Fontanian, are you, Mona? You're from Mondstadt.
Well, I was born in Mondstadt, yes. My parents migrated to Dorman Port, and I traveled with the old hag for a while, after which I settled down in Mondstadt.
Oh, that's a good thing then. At least we know you won't be dissolved by...
Speaking of that, I'm sure you're aware that a bunch of things have happened here in Fontaine, right? I know you're not a local, but there's something ominous about it. Well, the water, I mean. That was the main reason, yes. Just a while back, the Steambird invited me to take part in a panel and speak about the circulation of the prophecy. The invitation was sent quite early on. I don't think anyone expected Fontaine to be in this much trouble.
What do you make of that prophecy, Mona? Just tell us what you think as an astrologist. Your word would go...
What I can tell you is that I'm an astrologist, and that this prophecy concerns the fate of Fontaine. I'm afraid that this is not something that just anyone can do. If I could do it, you would no longer call me an But on the flip side, the prophecy is so huge and powerful that it must surely come from a powerful visionary. Its contents involve the fate of the...
A visionary? Sounds really powerful and all, but does...
Of course. The old hag could do it. And I'd bet there are others amongst those Hexenzirkel colleagues of hers who could do something similar. Huh? Are you... All right, I'll help you. It isn't often...
Thanks, Mona! You're amazing as a...
Oh, well, this is something only I can do after all. So, yeah.
That's the greatest of astrologists for you! Of all the people we know, you know the stars the...
Indeed. That's the...
Oh, sorry. I came to see what all the commotion was about. If there's anything you need...
Oh, whoops. Guess we were getting a little too carried away there. Well, I'll go tend to my own business now.
And there she goes, quick as rushing water. And here we are with the Spina guy giving us suspicious looks. Right, but we were able to recruit Mona's help, didn't we? Our Fontanian friends will thank us someday. Good morning. To be honest, I'm still feeling kind of sleepy. But it's time to get up, traveler. We agreed to go see Neuvillette, so let's pack it.
You're here! Finally!
Is something wrong?
Monsieur Neuvillette and Lady Farina, they seem to have gotten into a dispute.
Like I said, I've already explained everything.
And yet the problem has not been properly solved. There is little space for— It is not my intention to offend you, but please, tell me where you stand. You are the Hydro Arc. Look at this. This is a list of the victims from the recent
You mean... there...
We did not arrive in time to avert this disaster, and I will not have it happen again. I will say this once more. You must tell me everything you know. Yesterday, I found 3 stone slates in some ancient ruins near Poisson. Do you know anything about—
Seriously? You're questioning me like this is a court case now. I don't know, but you found them in some ancient ruins, you
That's correct, which is why I came to ask you some questions. There should have been 4 slates, but one of them was missing. The other 3 featured different images that seemed to—
The prophecy—
The second of these slates depicts the previous Hydro Archon Egeria kneeling before a floating island in the sky, as if confessing something. Do you know nothing of this either?
I don't. I've never seen such slates.
I'll ask you again. Do you really have no information? My deciphering of the slates indicates that the Hydro Archon Egeria once had to confess to, or apologize for, a certain sin. If anyone would know about it,
All gods don't have the same secrets, you know. She was herself and I'm me. Is it really so strange that I know I understand your concerns, but I'm sorry. I just don't...
Forgive me for saying this now, Lady Farina, but I have long known of your various secret investigations into certain matters. There are several indications that you have been investigating the prophecy on the sly. This is not strange in itself, considering that you are the Hydro Archon. But it is strange that you should also claim to not know any of Egeria's secrets. You have never been as superficial as you have presented yourself to be, nor are you a fool. And yet, your behavior is very
So you've been
You.
Well, since you know about my secret investigations, then you should know I'm actually There's no point questioning or suspecting me. You're the Eudix, but you're still my subordinate. You should be following my lead. Just trust in me. You're Archon, and do as I say. Never mind whether you can truly convince yourself to or not. That's all I have to say. We do not discuss this matter again. Oh, the opera's about to start.
Did Farina not notice us standing by the door? Wonder what's up with her. She was smiling. She didn't seem in the mood to care if we were listening in.
I assume you've been outside for a while now?
Oh, you noticed. Seems Farina didn't even—
She was in a great panic, though I cannot discern the reason. Our discussion reached impasses time and again. Still, I do not understand. Dialogue is the basis for understanding, so why did she keep refusing to engage? Everyone in her inner circle has noticed that she is hiding some secret. The issue is her attitude. We may have to create a situation in which she will have no choice but to speak.
Oh? Like—
Normally, people will only reveal the truth when standing trial. Perhaps we might—
But Farina's seen so many trials, and she's really good at dodging questions. How do we make sure that she won't just slip—
We will need to consider this thoroughly, join forces with various parties. If at all possible, I would prefer to recuse myself from this affair, but we must prevent This may be cruel to her, but all Fontaine is in crisis. The information a god possesses is too precious, and so— But who will lend us their aid to do such a thing?
Well, that's everyone, huh? Speaking of which, it was pretty smart of you to think of hiding here.
Poisson was just involved in a disaster, so it's presently devoid.
And here you are drinking tea like it's the most natural thing in the world.
That's what family should do. Sit and enjoy a leisurely...
It's nice to enjoy tea here, you know. Care for a cup?
Lend me your ears, everyone. Or perhaps one of you might like to start us off. How about you, friend?
Me? No.
Then, how about you, good sir?
I fear that I will cause the mood on this boat to become as somber as it...
Well then, I guess we're lucky we've got a local like me to organize things. Wonderful,
That was a little long-winded, don't you think?
Oh, you might be right. Anyway, to cut to the chase, our friend here, the Traveler, as for what that is, well, let's start by saying that we'll be pooling our efforts.
Oh? How intriguing.
Well, it's just an expression, really. One that I just learned from Clorand, and used on the spot. So, let's invite her to explain in detail.
Huh? Didn't you say that you would be...
Oh, come now. Your work doesn't involve much public speaking, right? This is a good chance to...
I see. And what does my boss say?
He is glad that you consider him your boss. Do go on.
In that case, do any of you have experience?
Not that I recall.
Fremine and I once used a wooden stick in a basket to catch wild rabbits when we were younger. As for Lynette, oh, right.
I've also gone diving to catch some fish before. Does...
I'm afraid not. You may or may not have heard, but Fontaine once played host to a group known as the Marechaussee, though that was their name. They did not hunt animals, but rather various monsters left behind. Today, Fontaine's monster population has already thinned greatly, so the hunters have blended back into society. A trap comprises of the following components: bait, a trigger, and a containment. So, if we were to build a trap together, right now, what would you choose to build it with?
For me, I would prefer something basket-shaped. Pigeons and rabbits will see the bait. Our line of work requires a deft hand, and we're some of the best in the industry, so...
You used some of those techniques while moving the people of Poisson, didn't you? My subordinates mentioned that you even performed...
Yes, and I even managed to gather some intelligence in the meantime. I'm quite the multitasker, if I do say...
I'm afraid I can't claim that as my strong suit. I prefer more
Calm and steady. Exactly the kind of person who would catch...
And I can be their assistant.
With discretion, I'm sure.
I'd probably use some sort of mechanical animal. Papa once bought me some small clockwork squirrels, mice, and such. When placed in the forest, they can attract others of their... I remember that you liked those too, didn't you?
I did. And that would be a good way to go about it. If they're realistic enough...
What about you, Monsieur Neuvillette?
I fear I do not have any
That makes sense. You usually solve problems directly, without... But I do have one more question for you, monsieur. If we were to create a trap now, how would you design it?
I would like for it to be effective, but bring no harm to the prey. A more...
Kind, as always. However, our intention... If we wanted to kill the prey in one strike, we would need a powerful implement. However, that also goes for prey that must be captured and safe...
Wait, why's that?
Only a hunter who's a true expert at subduing their prey can snare it without harming it. The line that divides life and...
So, are we going hunting together?
We hadn't thought of seeing ourselves as hunters. It kinda works, but...
If our means of capturing and dealing with our prey is to put them on trial, then the hunting metaphor is actually... But we shall require much more courage than any hunter to judge a god. A being whose seat is an exalted throne.
Oh, so that's what's going on.
few days, hasn't it? So much has been happening. Paimon didn't think the meetings would go on for so long, but Paimon thought they'd be at least a little frightened. Well, Fremine was, now that Paimon thinks about it, but everyone else just looked a little surprised. Well, it's hard to say. Paimon doesn't have any experience with this sort of thing. But with you around, after all, you're the most reliable person in the world, aren't you? Did you just pour some tea? Paimon didn't notice you doing that at all. Then what's that? Paimon's never seen that cup before.
Don't be frightened. I'm just joining you two for tea.
Who's that voice?
Ah, have you forgotten me already?
Wait, you are familiar. You're the voice we heard from the sky in some...
The voice from the sky, You're feeling lost now. Just as you were feeling... Consider me a passerby. Just accepting a commission from my friend's disciple on a whim. The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesized will be fulfilled.
What? Then is there any way...
I believe you have witnessed a failed attempt with your own eyes. So you've caught on. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods. Are the things that you shall see different from the fate that...
What is she talking about? It all sounds really...
I believe that you understand, right? Some things are ultimately. Fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen. This was good tea, by the way. Thank you for your hospitality.
The voice. All right, coming! Hey, it's you who's getting lazy, okay?
Well, I see I've walked in on some lively banter.
Mona!
Fine, just fine. I went to take part in that Steambird panel. It turned out to be more... Not all Fontainians are pessimistic about this. One journalist mentioned...
Did she have pink hair by any chance?
Why, yes, it was Charlotte. I assume you've heard of her, no? That daredevil journal. I'm in full support of her view. Prophecies are very important, but how can people allow their lives to be commandeered by just...
That's right! Paimon's glad to hear something sensible for once.
Yes. About what we had discussed before. I did try, but I'm afraid I... Huh? Goodness gracious. Are you serious?
She said that even the god's gaze has blind spots. Pretty bold if you ask...
The Hexen Circle members are certainly anything but ordinary. As for the mage named N, the old hag has mentioned her, but I've never met her. And if she were still alive, she'd be...
Whoa. The Hexen Circle sounds like a scary group. But they must really...
Their abilities alone are pretty terrifying.
Well, it's not like Paimon could understand anything she said.
Yes, she was quite cryptic, but I suspect she means that there is still a way to turn things around. Perhaps it is something that you cannot know right now. Traveler, Paimon, are you two all right?
Oh, we're fine. We're just a little down right now. It kind of feels like the end is...
I see. I feel that same sense of desperation, too. I guess you could consider me someone who has often witnessed fate. But even so, I still hope for and believe in. Perhaps that's what En was trying to tell you. I did originally think of steering clear.
Huh. You do have a point.
There I go, talking about astrological principles. It was worth trying to comfort you, even if only a little. I believe that you'll help those who are struggling in the same way I did. I suppose that might be why we always seem to meet by coincidence.
Paimon feels kind of moved by what Mona said, but also kind of sad too. Hey, Traveler. Paimon suddenly feels like going outside. Let's walk around the city, shall we? There's a few spots we always like to walk by. Huh? Our names are written in the... Let Paimon see! The underwater stronghold, the Fortress of Meripede, has continued in its noble autonomy. My recent attempts to enter the fortress bore little fruit. Huh. Guess Charlotte still has... Thus, did an Outlander friend become the focus of this report. A blonde adventurer with their white fairy, legends trailing in their wake. So while the fortress's interior remains a mystery behind closed doors, do not fear, for the tip journalist Charlotte's biggest scoop yet, the Traveler's Trail, World Walker. Huh. Charlotte took so many awesome photos of us and we never even noticed her. She hasn't been able to get a hold of anything at the fortress, so since we're easier to find, she's using us as the subject matter. Ugh, seriously? Well, fine. Paimon's hungry. Hey, quick! Look! That's the limited edition only 16 slices a day cake! It was so delicious the last time we tried it, despite the tense situation we were in. Let's give it another go.
1 slice of cake, please.
Someone showed up after all. Oh, wait, you're the one from the Palais Mermonia.
Oh, are you here to buy cake too? It seems Monsieur Nervalette was right.
Wait, did he really say something like that?
That's right. Even he has his own preferences when it comes to food. As for me...
Do you come here often?
Usually every day.
Every day?
It's part of my daily schedule, apart from work. I shall have my cake and coffee.
Then what if someone told you one day that this place would be closing soon, and you wouldn't get to eat cake here anymore?
But why would it close?
Well, Paimon doesn't know either, but maybe Maybe the...
Oh, the prophecy. To be honest, I haven't paid much attention to that. No, still, no. It's the same for eating in general. You might not be able to eat tomorrow, but if you can do so...
Huh.
Don't be sad. Excuse me, could I have 2 more slices of cake to go? These 2 slices are for you. Sijuin said that this kind of expression you're making is what humans...
Oh, you know Sijuin?
I sure do. She was born before me, and she sometimes comes to the surface to teach. She said that humans are creatures that are saddened easily. Yes, and you can only lift their spirits. I've got something else to do, so I'll be going now. You two try to stay in a good mood.
And there she goes. All right, let's dig in. Paimon's sure this... It's more delicious than last time. And the flavor gets even better with a sip of tea. Sure would be nice if we could always eat delicious food here. Oh, we're near the Steambird office. Let's go look for Charlotte and have a chat.
Idea of crisis away.
Wow! If it isn't the Traveler and Paimon! Oh, have you seen...
Ha! You've got some nerve! You just used us to make some quick more...
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I heard that you were in Poisson some time back, so I sent you a letter to discuss just that. It's all right, though. I've set aside the amount intended for you. I've even said...
Really? Oh, you're the best!
You're almost a little too easy to win over, Paimon. If I were a journalist with...
Oh, Paimon knows you're not like that.
Still, what brings you here all of a sudden? Were you looking for me?
A friend of ours met you a while back, and when she mentioned it, we thought of coming to see you. Her name's Mona.
Ah, so you know Miss Mona as well. She's a guest columnist for our paper. Really good one, too. So she mentioned me? What did she say?
She said that you're a real daredevil of a journalist.
Nice. In which case, can this daredevil journalist dare to request...
Huh? So your article in the paper today doesn't...
Oh, of course it doesn't. That was more like live photography. What I'd like to do is dive deeper and ask you to talk about the things you've seen and
Yeah, are we even qualified enough?
Why not? If I say you're worth an interview, then you're worth it. But not right now, of course.
Oh, in that case, we'll just chat when you have the...
Oh, so that's a yes? Ooh, splendid! I'll tell the editor-in-chief immediately. I'll have to apply. Whew, so much to get done now. Talk to you later.
Wait, Charlotte, Paimon's still got a question for you.
And what's that?
If, just for example, Fontaine were to be flooded tomorrow, what would you...
Huh, that's the prophecy you're talking about, isn't it? I mean, I do hear about it often, but if you're seriously asking, then I might try and think of a way to leave Fontaine. Oh, but I'm still a journalist first and foremost. That means I have a duty to be reporting from the scene. And secondly, from what I've seen, most people don't know what they'd do should the worst come to pass. In truth, it might be better just to behave like normal rather than work. So in all likelihood, I'd probably still be prepping at the office for that interview of ours. I know what you're thinking. That sounds a bit sad. Just think about it. If this nation really were to be suddenly destroyed tomorrow, but I still successfully finish an exclusive interview with a truly unique person,
the story. And then do you know what I'd do? Well, I'd write that story, send it for printing, and use messenger pigeons to get copies out to the various nations as soon as possible. I'm not a dreamer, nor am I a workaholic, but I do love my job, and I'd be proud of leaving such an article behind. I guess you could say that I was born to be a journalist. But anyway, that's my answer. And on that note, I'll get back to my preparations.
That's so nice. All of us. Anyway, let's go and take a look at the sea, shall we? The sea breeze and scenery can be a pretty soothing combo, huh? Paimon's been thinking. If it wasn't Fontaine, but all of Tevat that would be destroyed tomorrow, where would we go? No, Paimon should ask if you could choose. We've always been moving to the next destination, so we haven't spent much time thinking about these kinds of things. We didn't have to either, with us always being on the road and whatnot. You mean, still traveling? Huh. Wait, isn't that what we've always... Feels like you'll grow mold if you... But it's still better than the Fortress of Mirapede, that's for sure. It's not only damp there, but salty.
Ah, so the two of you are still here. Wonderful.
Oh, you're from the Palais Mermonia, aren't you?
Yes, I'm Isadora. Monsieur Nervillet sent me to look for you two before. I heard that afterward you went to the Fortress of Meropide. Not at all. I'm well aware that you're friends of his. Actually, I'm here to pass along a message from him. Yes, inside the Opera House. The Maréchaussée Phantom has declared the incident a small-scale riot.
A riot?
Well, that said, I don't personally think it... Lady Farina was watching a performance at the Opera House, and while she was resting during an intermission, some other audience members suddenly start loudly accusing her of doing nothing about the prophecy crisis. And before she could respond, others started to join in. The crowd continued to grow, and protests against the Hydro Archon started to break out.
So people have started to put the blame on Farina. Guess they finally found an outlet for the pressure they've been under due to the prophecy.
I agree. People will naturally rely on gods, as is customary. But the moment people feel threatened, gods are also the first to be blamed.
So what happened after that? Is Farina okay?
Seeing that the situation was spiraling out of control and that further argument was pointless, she claimed that she'd gotten tired of this and left in a hurry. The Maréchaussée Phantom had their hands full maintaining order and did not catch where Lady Farina had gone. Only when things had stabilized did we realize that she had gone missing.
So, you mean she's still missing?
That's right. The Maréchaussée has dispatched many people to search for her, but we don't have any leads yet. That said, I don't think there's much to worry about. She is a god, after all. Even if she were to fall into the hands of rioters, what could ordinary people do to her? Good. Monsieur Nervillet sent me to tell you about the situation, but he didn't...
Don't worry. This is more than enough to go on. Thanks for keeping...
Ah, is that so? Well, all right then.
Well, sounds like we should hurry over to Poisson then. If we know Farina, she won't try to fix things in this situation. And, as we also know, she may be loud and dramatic, but she doesn't have a heart of stone. When Nervala was talking to her in the Palais Mermonia, and she heard about Poisson, she couldn't hide her sadness and remorse. It would be hard for her to ignore being accused by the public today. Paimon thinks Farina's probably taken the opportunity to slip away to Poisson and try to... Huh. Well, what do you think? Paimon knows the answer, of course, but Paimon can do the analysis to back... In that case, there's not a moment to lose! Poisson, here we come! This place looks deserted. Guess all the survivors must have evacuated already. All that's left here are signs of devastation. Could Farina really be here? Let's try to find her as soon as possible. Farina, right over there!
What was meant to happen did happen after all. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Give up, Farina. There's no... I'm sorry. But what can I even do other than to repeat meaning... Who's that?
Don't worry, Farina. It's just us.
So it is you, blonde traveler from another land.
Farina, you were crying just now, weren't you?
What do you mean, tear stains? Oh, I remember. Who did that uncivilized rabble think they were? Disturbing? They even dare to tout their Archon. I must teach them a lesson. I can just imagine their... Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the Maréchaussée Phantom are freaking out right next to them, too.
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
Farina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? They're just some rabbit... That's against the rules. I can't let them get their way.
Farina just ran off! Quick, we have to catch up with her! This should be the place, right? Hey, Farina! There's a good hiding spot over here. Quick, come to Paimon before the rest of them...
What is this?
Hurry, they're almost here!
Fine. I suppose haste is warranted. Lead the way. I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they displayed. You're right.
Yep, that's a good girl.
What's happening? The ground's shaking.
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding in Poisson.
It can't be. It's happening.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Novelette's made some emergency plans.
Yeah, I hope you're right, but the people of Poisson... It's true. I've been investigating the prophecy for hundreds of years. I once had informants all over Tevat, searching for clues. I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back the sea. Anything to keep the... But all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. We cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of... Give up. I do love the sound of that phrase. It would mean finally coming. Indeed. I've thought about giving up so many times, especially after we almost left. Fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It has no heart and obeys no rules. But just now, it all became clear to me. I still don't have... As long as the final moment hasn't come, it's still not too late. Don't worry. I will keep hope. Well, that's enough for now. I got the impulse to play the strict... Don't take any of what I just said seriously. How could I possibly let Fontaine fall to the whims?
Come on! Paimon could have sworn you were actually being honest just now.
Share, my bird. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty. A witness. Yes, I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the... And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, if that...
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our...
So this is what it is. Yes, do not forget, however, that I am Focalor, the god of justice, the embodiment of justice itself.
May I interpret these words as your refusal to stand trial? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
Paimon can't believe it. She...
What the heck is going on? Did I just see an Archon
Wow, how utterly humiliating.
Lady Farina, what is the meaning of this?
Shh! It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding. To be clear, the raising of both...
Looking for excuses again, huh?
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance of the trial. I will admit that I've been running... I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect... You are not the only ones to be disappointed. But now, it is time for the Hydro Archon to show... Farina, will use this trial to show the world the truth. This time, I applaud and rejoice. One of the most outrageous and fantastical. Mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine. Woohoo!
Oh, now we're making history.
Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? Like, come on! Didn't she just get forced to stand trial? Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic, she is taking this—
All right, then. Who will be my opponent?
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Very well. Then please speak. Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question, just how much work did you do to force me on—
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president of the Spina—
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members, waiting for the perfect opportunity to incite in— The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the prophecy is fulfilled. A spark was all we needed to turn smoldering anger. Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that occurred, you would likely flee the— So, we arranged for a second group to lie in wait there.
So, you mean the ones who scoured the settlement?
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic performance.
That's right. That house was a magic box, rather than someone's residence.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epiclese, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Air was an Archon instead of a My thanks, Farina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such an extraordinary—
You're welcome.
Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this. We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path.
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt within the giant magic—
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, I can guess Nervilette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that the champion duelist would be immediately— Also that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the trial—
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most—
Thank you.
As for you, traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with converse. You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd— Oh? It's fine. It matters not. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through.
Sir Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial. According to her—
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Hey, oh, let Paimon see. Isn't this the exclusive interview that she— Wait, then that means this document is a perfect time— So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time we want to use— Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duel you took part in at the Opera House.
That's one for the I didn't think that you'd wind up getting to the bottom of the case I'd been following. This is the first time, Monsieur I nearly lost my awesome friend Navia. To be honest, the words of someone as extraordinary as a witch can probably only be truly understood when something surreal happens to you. According to Monsieur Neuvillette, both child and that whale should have been in the primordial sea at that time.
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Neuvillette. There's just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As the defendant and the lead actress of this performance, of course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to understand the actions of a god. However, you will...
That's true, but my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking her duty, but...
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. How can I? There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be any...
Yeah, even though Lady Farina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going too far to doubt her...
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure, Lady Farina can be super irresponsible.
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were... See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. Are you If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the God of Justice that you will not have to face...
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? We have to not only refute Farina's claims, but also...
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. If you must persist, then let me act. And if I was not the Archon, then how did I...
First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess...
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to use a harbinger's words against...
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble... But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
You sensed it too, huh, Neuvillette?
Lady Farina is actually a human?
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell humans and gods apart.
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been... Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. Gods can... For centuries, manifestations of my authority have served. One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal in this very opera...
You tried to reference the Oratrice. But weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice declared—
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are naturally difficult.
Lady Farina, I believe a reminder of your current— While the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law must come before all else. While you are an Archon, you will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold—
I never thought you'd use that.
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Farina. I've merely reiterated the rules.
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure and operation. Instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority you mentioned—
The real Hydro Archon. Well, now, it is true that I did not know why but the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally. And it has been operating independently. You can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed.
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that she has no power over the Oratrice.
My power as an Archon. There are many ordinary citizens in the audience.
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection to the audience.
You don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield the power of
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people, and thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide everyone—
Isn't that a huge stretch?
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can a god with no—
It seems like nobody's buying Farina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone. Please don't— I'm still the same Farina you knew, right? The one that you loved. Shouldn't, please?
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has committed a grave offense.
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents and grandparents too? And all of our ancestors? Ever since they were born?
Enough! That's enough. Tell me then, if I'm not the real Hydro Archon, if you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, nor can you find anyone who can back up their—
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. How can we refute her now? That doesn't sound right. Paimon doesn't... that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. It has been established that all Fontanians can dissolve in water from the primordial sea.
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now to eliminate all...
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court. Though you act in partner...
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood struck the area not long ago, including those of some of my closest friends. So, Miss Farina, would you dare to... if we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching the seawater would have no effect on you. All it should do is strengthen your case. But if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more. I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of admitting guilt.
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many years.
If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontanian like all the rest of us. Would she really dare?
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution, as it falls outside the realm of
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is basically the same as a confession of...
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word. It really does...
What's going on? Is she really planning to...
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Farina, you may...
Hey!
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon!
Miss Siegewin? If you're present, Miss Siegewin, please come forward.
Siegewin? Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds. That should be enough.
Please announce the results of your evaluation.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of hypervenom. She was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater.
Thank you, Miss Siegewin. Lady Farina.
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved. Shouldn't that be enough to prove...
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample. However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated. We don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, you secured a low-concentration sample. It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually used.
I can't believe... Listen to me, everyone. Please don't give me such cold and think about it. How can you conclusively prove that an Archon can't also be affected by... Also, if I was really just a human, why would I... Please, everyone, anyone Just listen to me! I swear, I really am your Archon!
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. The odds are just too—
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think—
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone who's too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is guilty. We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse cottage. According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse...
Well, what's wrong? What's the
No, the Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict to be punished via...
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was...
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court. And it's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god of justice?
Farina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show...
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definitions of justice, is this sentence really appropriate for the crime?
Yeah! Even Fauché wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearance.
Indeed. Not only is Farina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also to prove that But now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of...
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Fremine! Oh, you finally made it.
Mm-hmm. Any mission Father assigns to me will all...
Is that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately arranged for...
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. It took me a long time to get around some dangerous stretches of water. But has the trial already concluded? Then... doesn't that mean I've come too late?
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to... Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates. And would...
Huh? So what do you see? What is it?
I believe I have now made sense of the Hydro-Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost...
Huh? Isn't the Hydro-Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's Farina. So when you say Hydro-Archon, do you mean the real Hydro-Archon we've been kinda talking?
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other 3 stones. describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous Hydro Archon using her divine power, and then the Oceanids turn into... Does that mean that Fontanians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. The second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But the heavens... This must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontanians were branded with their original sin. Does this mean that the original sin and the third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by many... That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that happen to someone else? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontanians have been talking about. People dissolving into the sea, the Hydro Archon crying on her throne, and so... We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? But after that incident, it was just a question of when.
We know from the case of the serial disappearances of young women that Fontanians and the first stone slate tells us that long ago, the Hydro Archon used her power. This might be the reason that Fontanians can dissolve.
That doesn't sound quite...
Perhaps what is about to take place has all happened. The true sin of the Hydro Archon and the original sin cast down on the people of Fontaine by Celestia, as recorded on the stone slate.
That doesn't...
It's not as simple as falling into the sea. When Navia fell into the sea, her consciousness was subjected to judgment.
That doesn't...
The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into society, but not many people believed it. The fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause Fontanians to dissolve, if we hadn't dealt with it in time.
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the seawater, converge, and the Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson in a court within her consciousness. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropide was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass no matter what. The prophecy's contents can all be verified by recent events. If we combine what we know together... Huh? Oh, Paimon gets it now! So, but... then it feels like...
Let's hear them.
Incredible. Linny, did you hear that?
We're not real humans.
All Fontanians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon, with Oceanids as the evidence for that can be found in how only Fontanians could dissolve in primordial seawater, and how all the girls Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a trial. All of them in the...
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably angered. That could also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty. It's to...
The Hydro Archon's true sin was created.
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the opera.
Yeah! Isn't the image here just like when Navia fell into the sea? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once the prophecy has been fulfilled in the forest? In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her. Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, it is impressive that you've already... However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with an additional layer of hidden information. When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. But now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to decipher the narrative.
Well?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontanians and the sin of the Hydro Archon were both correct. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontanians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. As a result, of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race, and thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the...
So you...
We were all Lucy.
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard a single thing. Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin was...
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontanian, but it...
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact, correct. A key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are humans rather than... They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not water from the primordial sea. The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of trials and justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in... You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold a trial to determine... Therefore, the meaning of the third slate, that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the court of... Yes, it refers to our...
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying is, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy foretold.
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled.
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will...
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your... About the fourth slate. You probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath... However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption could... As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it. This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause of the disaster.
That doesn't...
It was both dream and reality.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that...
The truth, the original sin.
That was way too close! whale you...
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it is. That whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that has traversed the star. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. That is the main cause for... And once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained within the sea...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians out of Oceanids...
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontaine. Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house.
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case, won't it come back to target the people again once it's managed to recover it?
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, from the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect it to happen. Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the prophecy, all we need...
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. At this point, it has become practical. Even if the entirety of Tevat were to be destroyed, it could still survive and swim off towards...
That's not... We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit. We've come so far. You can't just tell me that the last hurdle is some
Indeed. That's not how a grand performance should end.
I'll fight it to the end. No matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the god, ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter...
What's happening with the oratories?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Farina! No, I still need answers.
You...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just...
You are not Farina. Who...
the sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my...
Fosolo. Why did you
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But the heavenly principle...
Deceiving the
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem. She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come to pass. And as one of the 7, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principle. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I had to outwit the heavenly principles. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume, although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one... But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose...
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human?
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, she could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or as meek. Her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess. But in my eyes, Farina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human and anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to... Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydra Archon alone. In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Farina under the curse I placed on her. So long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to... Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady. I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the...
But Farina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, it's been 500 years, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and...
Oh? Who permitted you to come onto the stage? Now, I understand. All right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your name. Just be Oh, do not jest. Can you not feel it? I am Focalor. The eyes of countless Fontanians are upon me. Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough.
Let the mighty be humbled!
Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards!
Step right up.
Settle down!
Farina.
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are you?
Be not nervous. Be not afraid. I am
Wait a moment. You're mirror me? How
Mirror you, huh? You know what?
Mirror me. What do you...
The prophecy. Have you heard of...
What prophecy? Wait. I know. The people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain.
Oh, very...
What's going on? I can't seem to remember any...
Yes, it will. And that is why...
But doesn't that mean everyone will die?
Oh, don't worry. Magical meetings exist. I will tell you how to save everyone, but...
Oh, so there's still hope after all. As for the suffering, well, but if the prophecy will come true, I'll also die anyway, right? If there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine on one side, and my pain on the other, is it not obvious where the scales should tilt?
You truly are the perfect... I suppose this would also be the justice that belongs...
Huh?
Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Fontaine has just...
Play as...
That's right. You must begin a never-ending mask. If you can keep it up, then I shall have my way of
But how will I do this? A human...
Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn yourself... Being a human yourself, I'm sure you already know what such an entity... Remember, your true challenge will not be pursuing divinity, but contending...
I'm still not sure I understand. So, how long am I going to have to...
To accomplish this mission, you will have to stay on the stake, but I promise you, all will eventually end in...
A trial, huh? How...
The Maison Cardinalise has announced my accession. But this is my first time. What should I say to most appear like a god? To be honest, I still...
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. And I'm sure you've all heard about how I have taken on the role of Hydro Archon. In truth, I know little about becoming a nation's new god, but it will be as the god Focalor, the god of justice. I shall do all within my... Once again, thank you all for coming. If you should have any questions or suggestions, this should do it. I thought I might stammer, but thankfully, I was able to convey my thought.
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses humanity would be a...
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions there at the...
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest. What's the difference between...
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen. She might just be a Maison back.
Wait, what's going on? Why is everyone suspecting me of being a fake? Oh, this isn't right. Mirmi said that I just need to play the role of a calm-down Farina. Think. What do the people want? How would they... Assertive, with a strong sense of presence. One who...
Oh, now, I was wondering if some weak puppet were to one day come onto the stage and claim ownership. Well, it seems that you would all see right through. You may consider my previous act a door gift of sorts. Now then, let us be
So that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were inside an opera house?
Her personality. It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before.
Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful! Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. Best follow this flow and restart my accession speech.
My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, keep faith, and we have heard it said that this nation's sins can no longer be washed away.
No, this won't work. They'll suspect me again. I must play the role that they want me to play.
The scales of justice should not weigh heavy in the hands of its God. May law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. Let us...
No, this won't work. They'll suspect me again. I must play the role that they want.
There is no trouble in this world that justice cannot solve. So long as I, the Archon Focalor, stand within the Opera Epiclese. So long as I...
Yes! Oh, yeah!
Lady Farina, here are today's case reports, as well as a summary of the follow-up for your...
Come now, was I not just at the Opera House in person? Besides, none of these trials were the one that I'm looking forward to.
If I may be so impertinent, what kind of trial?
A magnificent, dramatic, and wondrous trial. A trial...
That's true, I fear I lack the ability to grasp your divine thought.
No need for fright, and do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now, do your duty.
Lady Farina, I don't know what to say. Thank you for agreeing to see me.
No need to thank me. Or rather, thank your own sense of Oh, I'm afraid that's just an all right. Deuteria, is it? How is your son?
You remembered me, and you knew of my family, too. He is doing much better now. In fact, he is far more of an ardent believer than I. He was the one who forced me to seek an audience with...
Oh, good. Very good. If this should happen again...
Oh, you're such a gentle and wise god. Thank you once again. I'll be...
Lady Farina, here are the latest hydrological reports. As for the specific
I see. It's as I thought, then. As your god, I did... All manner of signs indicate that the prophecy will still...
well, as I understand it, the Fontaine Research Institute...
Really? Have they found...
I'm afraid that they haven't found...
Oh, is that so? Well, no wonder. The day is finally over. I haven't had a moment, but it's good to see that everything's getting on track. There are no... Maybe this is fine. I just need... All right, Farina.
Lady Farina, here are the new trial reports for the latest cases, as well as a summary.
There'll be no need for that.
Lady Farina, I've waited so long for...
Indeed, my dear, loyal citizen. This joyous moment is an...
Lady Farina, we're detecting significant hydrological anomalies near Poisson.
Understood. Keep monitoring. Keep me informed should anything come up. I don't think I let anything slip today. I just don't know when these days will end. I feel utterly exhausted. Best...
Lady Farina, it's like a dream being able to speak with you. I've heard that the first member of our family who was honored to receive an audience with you was Madame Deuteria. Almost...
And what a fine family yours is indeed.
Surely you
What is it, good citizen?
Oh, are you crying?
Really now? This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god who's...
No wonder. A manifestation of your power, then.
So interminable. Hundreds of years must have passed by now. But I never imagined that it would have reached my limit. I want to tell someone, anyone, about this. I've
investigations across the century. All I can do is keep heart. I must maintain this act.
Farina, you don't have to shoulder this burden alone, although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone. Your people...
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my—
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, you can just share it with me.
A witness. Yes, I've heard that you came, and if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a He's right. I could confide in him, couldn't I? But if things don't play out as expected, No, Farina, you shouldn't be But what if... Farina? You've worked so hard for so... Is it such an outrageous thing to do anyway? To find someone in whom you can confide your frustration. If you let this opportunity slip through your fingers, think about it. Long and hard. No, I have nothing to say. I am Farina, the Archon of Fontaine. All you need to do, dear spectator, is to witness my performance.
Fine.
So even Farina doesn't know the truth? You've never once let her in on the full plan?
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive the heavenly principles, you must first She did very well. If she had let her resolve falter even once in these 5 centuries, Fontaine would have been doomed to the most It seems that, trusting humanity...
I believe that I understand how your deception works, but that is only half the truth. How would you build on this foundation to save the people of Fontaine?
Ah, good, good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed the crux of... I'm sure you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no simple machine, yes?
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Lenny did mention that he heard a human voice within the court. It now seems that that person was you, hidden within the machine.
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would seem so. Alas, your understanding of this device still lacks. In truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is... Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not only will the Oratrice take down the... I mean, did you think I would be the sort to enjoy my work over these last 500 years has been to constantly accuse... But really, some have already discovered that only a small fraction of the energy generated by the device was ever... The vast majority has been, had to be, accumulated to enact this death.
It was all a part of your plan, then?
Indeed. This power accrued over 5 centuries, but only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro Archon's device.
So the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Farina nor Focalor, but for the Hydro Archon. The destruction of that divine throne. If I do not
Returning what's rightfully yours to you, of course. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydra.
But...
Oh, what? Getting sad again, The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro Dragon Sovereign. And this...
all you've done throughout the years is just so you can sacrifice yourself at the very end.
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now, I'm quite pleased at how well my Hydro Dragon, Hydro Dragon. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved. Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea, and the heavenly principle stole. I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not just that your original powers... Speaking of justice, I have always believed that justice lies in the... So, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was... Then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the Fontanians as humans and the... In other words, existence was Egeria's justice. And to me, defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's people shall live on at this point, we... Whether it be my Iudex Nervillet, the highest judge in our land, when you regain your full power as an elemental sovereign...
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Iudex, I see now that that was your idea too. At last. I now understand the truth. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them have gradually brought about mutual understanding between us. You are a devious one for things being as they are. Surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Nervillet. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Iudex Nervillet, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
What just happened?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection? I have a feeling that something...
But since we're all still alive and haven't been dissolved, I assume whatever happened...
It's time to end this. We must mete out punishment to that beast.
Didn't you say just a moment ago that it can't...
I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. Through certain means, I now have the ability to separate the power of the... We should seize the opportunity to pursue our quarry. Traveler, now that the oratories can no longer function, I require an executor to help me mete out justice, the root of the calamities befalling Fontaine, the beast that enacts the prophecy. Its name is the... Come with me, traveler. The hour of execution... Considering the size of the beast, I cannot reach the power source. Unless we can find a way to attack it from within. We shall share a part of the ancient dragon's power. We shall look for an opening together.
Stabilize!
I can feel its sorrow turning into hostility.
Gather! I will have order!
Solidify!
Settle down! The all-devouring narwhal cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility. Chance will present itself.
Gather!
Why is there a hole-looking thingy over there? It looks scary.
I have granted you my protection. Do not fear. Seize the moment. Use my power to suppress its root from within.
Stabilize! Bow your head. Solidify!
Silence! Be sanctified.
Bow your head.
There's a tear in my robe. Let the mighty be humbled.
Thanks for helping with the cleanup. It should have been my job, but it was just supposed to be a short private training session for me. I didn't think that my disciple and my... Well, actually, I had a feeling that it would happen at some point. But they bumped into one another...
That power... Who are...
Paimon has an idea. From what she said earlier, she must be Child's master. It's just that he gave us the impression that she was the less talkative person.
I simply did not have anything to say to the weak. But you, on the other hand... So you may speak to me as equals. I have to agree. It's a strange use of a planet's primordial waters just to... That kind of power is wasted on it. It's not cooperative. It eats too much. And all in all, it fails as a pet.
Miss Skirk? I think you...
The point being...
Well, being that this pet almost destroyed an entire nation. So what sort of person is your master? Well, Child's master's master.
Oh, right. So you don't know him. Sorry, I assumed you did. His name is Sir Telogi.
Huh?
I am unfamiliar with that.
Huh. So Master is insufficiently famous. How should I describe...
The foul?
Still nothing? Well, how about the visionary?
Ooh, that one we've heard. Rhine-Doctor's part of the Hexen Circle. She's Albedo's mom, right?
Oh, so you do know that name. To be honest, I also heard all of those names and titles from my master. But I suppose you understand now, yes? My master is likely a similar sort to Rhine-Daughter.
Wait, didn't you also mention a visionary person?
Actually, never mind that. I believe it expedient to inform you that the all-devouring narwhal used up nearly all its strength fighting you. Such roiling hydro energies will prove difficult for the planet's deep seas to digest. As such, the Fontaine back on the surface has most likely... In other words, the prophecy that you've been fretting over...
What?
Not to worry. Focalor has...
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only Farina will remain, weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
All hands, initiate emergency rescue! Hurry! Hey, lend a hand!
Look! The water's receding!
It's a miracle!
Water's receding.
We didn't dissolve. The prophecy was wrong. The prophecy was wrong.
Are you all right?
We're saved. The prophecy was wrong.
Oh, it's you.
What? Hey, we're just having a look around.
I'm here to update myself on how things are going here. Oh,
let me introduce you. This is Mr. Garunt Snezhevich. He represented the Nate. Our residents are hard at work as well. Thanks to everyone, work is progressing.
Hello, Miss Charlotte. I'm a big fan of yours. I especially like that art, but if you don't mind, could you not emphasize our role too much in your report? It's not
I get where you're coming from. I'll keep it as simple as possible. Or would you be willing—
That would be fine. Thanks.
Oh, you're back too. How are things?
We finished laying down the construction materials. It'll be—
Huh? You're here too, Clarence?
Well, her reputation's greatly risen after that whole duel business with Miss Farina. So she's here in Poisson to wait.
There's too much to consider in the reconstruction of Poisson. The Spina has need of more decision-makers.
Oh, wait just a moment. Do you mind me asking a few questions? You know, about how you felt before the—
Forget it. I'm sure you can find a
I see you're the same as always.
Well, if we're talking about doing things for my sake, you might as well just take a few—
Of course I will. I'm not gonna let him off that easy. All right, then everyone who wants to be in the—
Was it a good shot?
Not bad. Your addition really helped the composition of the picture. All right, hang on a moment. Let me snap a few more shots. All right, that should do it. I'll be back here later anyway, so let's call it a day.
You're very quick.
Speed is of the essence when it comes to the news, and freshness. Also, not to brag, but I'm pretty good at building connections. Who knows? I might have—
Wow, you really do have the—
I'll hazard a guess that this is how you got that interview at the Fortress of
Whoa, you're well informed. Let me make a guess, too. I asked Sijuin, who told Miss—
That's a very complete—
In truth, all Monsieur Neuvillette asked me was— when did the fortress become so— I told him that it was best not to speak too soon.
You're right. I've got to treasure every moment I have with them. In which case—
Stay safe now. And tell me if you hear anything interesting.
Wow, guess we're here again, huh? There's a real nostalgic feeling.
Looks like you've been missing us.
Duke! Did you come all the way to the entry?
Of course. I'm here to welcome you and our dear Miss
It's an honor to finally meet the much-rumored Duke.
No need to thank me. But that said, I shouldn't be the focus.
Of course, of course.
All right then, this way.
Hey, no need to be so nervous. Miss Charlotte, do these pictures...
It would seem that Miss Lorvine doesn't want her face to appear beside that of Mr.
Sir, please don't say that.
But it looks like dear Mr. Jurier denies it. Might this
No, I just... This is my first time being
Now, I might not look it, but I actually did meet Mr. Edwin once. And I'll be honest, the boat that brought about a miracle, the ark that saved the people. Still, if I might ask, where's that...
Huh. Looks like Charlotte's trying to get herself another...
I have to apologize, but that ship is presently in the bowels of our factory.
Really? Well, then in that case, could I...
You already know my answer, I'm afraid. Best you interview our head nurse instead. Or perhaps you'd...
Did you really have to use the word couple? Well, then, 2 solo photos will do.
Is my hair messed up? Please, someone help me have a look.
Things sure are getting pretty lively here. We've seen this kind of thing before. Oh, seems like everyone's here. Would any of you like to try this new drink I came...
Ah, Siegeween.
Hey, Miss Charlotte. Why don't you... Sure. Come on, Miss Siegeween. Over this way. Let's find a...
Sure. Do I have to smile? So, how have things been at the fortress?
Same old, as you can see. Fontaine's undergone some change.
Other than that flying ship, it got a tad too much attention.
That's why I decided to let the interview go through. We should direct more public opinions toward the behind...
You're too kind, sir. I believe that you too should have your day in the sun.
I'll just leave the spotlight to you two. I see. Lots of things happened that day, huh? Anyway,
He sure did win them over, huh?
I'll tell them that there's good news and bad news. The good being that their boss seems fine, and the bad...
Oh, actually, what about you?
What change can there be? The fortress will keep chugging along, and so will mine. As to what Miss Farina's departure will mean for the nation, and if our laws and governance will be transformed, we'll leave those to the folks in the...
Hey, everyone. The photo shoot's done.
Good. In that case, let's call it a day here.
Thanks for your cooperation. Come on, Traveler, let's go. Till next time, everyone.
There'll be a next time?
Maybe. Who knows? I might write a story about the underwater factory next time. Until then. All right. Last stop, the docks. Navia mentioned that she stayed in touch with Linny and the others after working together.
Traveler, Paimon. Ah, and Miss Charlotte, too.
Would you like a magic pocket? What sort of gadget is it? It's a wondrous bag that can be used to carry many things. Trick a friend. You could just make a friend like Fremine here. Isn't that right, Fremine?
Is this what you meant by...
To be honest, that sounds pretty sweet. Could I have your contact, please?
Sure.
You sure are working hard to help Fremine socialize.
He was the one who proposed doing this. He even wants to assist in our magic shows.
Yes, I was planning to first introduce Pear as an assistant, and later Fremine...
That said, would anyone want to see a diver escape underwater?
Oh, it'll work out. Every journey begins with the first step. He'll become a...
Lynette, could you come over? Miss...
Got it.
My, that Charlotte is rather perceptive. She got rid of everyone the moment she... Father says that you did a great deal during the latest events. She's very grateful for your...
That's all right. We were more than happy to help. So...
Oh, I guess you haven't heard. After Lady Farina left, Father and Monsieur Neuvillette opened negotiations, during which he gave Fontaine's gnosis to her as a diplomatic gift.
A diplomatic gift? A gnosis?
Yes, I was quite surprised at first myself. But when I thought it over, it could have been done as an apology for the incident with Lord Child, or as thanks for his help in tying the all-devouring narwhal down. Furthermore, Father did also lend significant aid to Fontaine and Poisson.
Well, that's true, but this is a gnosis we're talking about. Doesn't this seem a bit...
I would agree, but I've also heard that it seems that Monsieur...
So there's some reason for this, though.
I suspect you'll have to ask him about that yourself. Ah, yes, speaking of which,
Isn't he real busy and stuff? Paimon didn't think he'd have the time, but back to the topic. The gnosis was given to the knave, right? What about Chai?
they say that he's returned to Snezhnaya to recover from his wounds. I hear that...
That's true. When you think about it, we've had loads of run-ins with the Fatui.
So shocked by such a simple switching of sides?
Father!
Well, what do you know? Come to the docks to see how my children are doing and meet the traveler by chance.
Are you going to take the gnosis back to...
That is our duty as harbingers. Yes, don't be too preoccupied with sides. The goal of the Fatui concerns not a single place or person, but the entire world. With such a switching my masks is something I've always done. Well, that depends on many things. No one truly knows what the future holds. What good is honesty if you can't rely... As for you, I very much look forward to our next collaboration. Good things cannot be achieved alone, and you've proved yourselves to be great partners. A vision?
And that's a wrap for me. Huh? You...
Greetings, Miss Journalist.
Hello. If I'm not mistaken, there are diplomatic channels I'll need to report.
That is correct. So forgive me, but I will not be able to serve as a subject in your article. However, feel free to write as much as you'd like about our...
I will.
The sea breeze is quite pleasant.
Farewell, Father.
Oh, she has such an intimidating presence. I didn't even dare to take a picture. Thankfully, I've already wrapped up all my pre-scheduled interviews.
Don't be too nervous. Why don't you take a magic pocket before you go? Here, Traveler, Paimon, you take one too.
To move things about?
That's right. Funny. I was giving out magic pockets when I guess this must be life. We will all follow our... All right then. We'll be handing out pockets in some other districts later.
Well, You really are here, Nervalet. Paimon didn't think you were going to have free time.
Really? Oh, I suppose you must have met Mr. Linney. He took... In any case, you came at a good time. I was just considering reaching out to you to set up a meet...
Aw, Paimon's glad that you remembered. Thank you for keeping us on your mind. All right, let's have it then. How was Fontaine actually saved? The whole business is still quite the mystery to us.
It is strange how words can often lead...
Whoa. So that's what happened? Focalord destroyed the divine throne of the Hydro Archon and restored your power to you, transforming you into a fully fledged elemental dragon sovereign. But Paimon still doesn't quite get what you did to save the Fontanians from dissolving.
For me, the authority of the ancient dragons refers to absolute control over the hydro element. Fontanians were incomplete humans born of Egeria's use of the power of the primordial sea, with constitutions similar to that of Mim. But so long as those primordial energies remain within them, I could use the ancient In other words, when I gave my verdict, Fontanians became true humans, and thus would naturally no longer be dissolved by water from the...
Focalord must have counted on you to make that decision as well. Your verdict was the key to making the prophecy appear to have come true while saving everyone. Yeah, and in a manner of speaking, Focalord finally managed to fulfill the original Hydro Archon's wish to turn...
It seems from your expressions that you still have more things you wish to ask. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. I have investigated his case along many avenues, and I have learned that he once fell into an unknown chasm when he was young. There, by chance, he awakened the all-devouring narwhal. But whether it be by sentiment or reason, that should not have been enough to consider him the root cause of the disaster. At most, he would have had tangential liability. As for the judgment passed by the Oratrice stirring, whether it was due to that liability by association, or Focalord deliberately using him to buy time for us on the assumption that he would be able to hold the creature off, I cannot...
Guess Focalord had Fontanians in mind the whole time. In the end, it was thanks to her that they finally became real hang on a second. Paimon suddenly got another... Back when Fontanians hadn't yet become real humans, were the children they had also transformed Oceanids?
Life has always flowed like water. Do you recall how Fontanians would often come to the Fountain of Lucine to pray for children?
Yeah, Lynette said the fountain is where all the waters in Fontaine converge.
In truth, even those couples did not know that such prayers were no mere custom, but instead a form of ritual. Those Oceanids who were blessed within the spring water would later descend as new humans in the coming months.
Paimon sorta gets it now. Either way, seems like this ritual won't be of any...
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Yeah, about that. Risley said Farina has already left. What's that all about?
Ah, Lady Farina. The people are only aware that her death sentence has not been carried out. She abdicated the post of Hydro Archon and left affairs related to that title to me, before leaving the Opera House. I related Focalor's words to her faithfully and completely. After hearing them, she seemed neither saddened nor comforted. She simply said that she was tired and needed to... Having said that, she then packed her things and moved out of the Opera House, not unlike how an ordinary person might.
But she's still got a place to stay.
You need not worry. I will make arrangements to ensure that she will not want for food, clothing. In truth, I am somewhat happy for her. The wear and tear on her spirit will, of course, take time to heal. But now that she no longer has to play the role of Focalor the Hydro Archon, she can finally lay down her burdens and lead a normal...
What about you then? What are your plans now that you've regained your full powers as the Hydro...
After Focalor passed on, the Oratrice also ceased to function. This matter will directly affect our trials. After much careful consideration, I've decided to take over its role in our courts. From now on, I shall hear cases and pass verdicts by myself.
Looks like you're still considering stuff from the perspective of the Udex, huh?
As an elemental dragon, there are indeed many things that I must do. But this power and this duty, in a manner of speaking, as such, before I attend to my other responsibilities, I must first and foremost continue to serve on... Additionally, the Hydro Archon's departure has brought about another problem, which is that the Opera House shall no longer produce in...
That's true. That power was derived from the people's faith in the Hydro Archon. Wait, but the various mechs and machines in the city are all still okay. Where...
As I am now, I have full command over New Musia, and it can serve as a complete substitute. Another reason why I cannot quite leave Font.
Wow. This ancient dragon's authority
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Oh, that's right! They say you've given it to the knave as a diplomatic...
Leaving aside their intentionality, the two Fatui Harbingers have indeed done much for us during this crisis. Their sole remaining goal in Fontaine, at least at this point, would seem to be the Gnosis. The Oratrice has ceased to function. The Hydro Archon's divine throne is now no more. And I do not need the Gnosis's power. As such, it has lost all meaning for Fontaine. If the Fatui have impure designs, then we might as well accede to their request now, and avoid unnecessary conflict.
What complicated considerations? Paimon thought you were just giving it to them out of...
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. You will soon be heading to Natlan, I presume? I'm afraid that I have little talent as a travel guide, so all I can do is tell you what I know about that land. As far as I'm aware, Natlan can be said to be
A nation of dragons? You mean like...
No, I suspect that I would not find myself welcome there. Unlike ancient dragons such as myself, the dragons of Natlan have undergone long years of development and evolution. Large numbers of them have entered a form of Natlan is also the nation of war. War ravages those lands like an undying flame. There is one other piece of information I got incidentally from my negotiations with the Knave that I believe may be useful to you. The Harbinger known as the Captain has thrown his hat into the endless ring of war.
The Captain. Sounds like a real tough customer. Seriously!
I suggest that you fully prepare yourself before going to Natlan. In the meantime, Fontaine's doors will always be open to you. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Hang on a sec. Paimon's still got a question about the Gnosis. When we spoke to Linny earlier, he mentioned that your attitude... We guessed that there might be some reason for it that only you were...
No wonder the House of the Hearth is the Fatui's intelligence. So regarding this specific issue, I was just getting ready.
What is it?
In truth, I exchanged some further words with that lady named Skirk after sending you two back to the surface. It went something like this.
Well, we're going to head topside to see what's going on. You hurry over soon as well, all right, Nerva?
What next?
The all-devouring narwhal isn't here. I can finally catch the scent of your power. It is the authority of the planet's primordial dragons. But with something very similar to a god's curse. I'm sure I've encountered something like this before.
I do not know what you speak.
Of course. You should have the remains of the third descender on your person, yes?
Remains? I've never heard of...
According to your parlance,
Well, that much is true. After Focalor's divinity faded, she handed her nose, but I fear I have never heard of it described in the manner that you just did.
I've been training with my master, the Fowl, ever since I was young, and I have never returned to the surface since. So most of the information I possess, I got from him. It is only natural for those who are greater than humanity to possess a different sort of common sense. Regardless, you should probably get rid of objects. To live in itself is a blessing. But once a person dies,
What do you mean by that?
No need to fret. These are just my... personal...
This third descender you refer to, who are they? And when did they die?
Master never mentioned them to me. Perhaps it just wasn't that If you're interested, though, I could ask him. I'll be sure to pass the...
Next time? You believe we will meet again?
I do. Wait. I have a disciple of my own, don't I?
That's what she told me. Whether it would prove useful or not, I wanted to pass that information.
The remains of the third descent. So that's what the Gnosis actually are. Paimon just thought they looked like chess pieces. How could they...
All the same, assuming that there was no misunderstanding or special metaphor at play.
And she said that it would bring misfortune and that you should check it, which is why you gave it to the
If she speaks the truth, then I would simply be putting Fontaine at unnecessary risk by keeping it here. I had guessed that you might already be familiar with this concept, but I did not expect you to be one of them. That means that the Gnosis, which are exceedingly element-compatible and can even enhance elemental abilities... I wonder, does your body also possess...
Like being able to use elemental powers without a vision! No, let's not think about this stuff right now. It just feels... Comparing the Traveler to the dead third descender and all. That's what you say, but this topic still feels like bad luck. Once Child recovers, let's get some more answers out of him. Or go look for his master and get the...
I too believe it unwise to make too many blind guesses when information is lacking. The same is true of being at court.
All right. Whatever the case, it seems like the crisis here in Fontaine...
Yes. All of Focalor's efforts were for...
But she sacrificed herself in the end as a god, and she suffered through all those years as a human. Was that really...
I suppose that would be the mystery of a god's will. I suspect not. But once in a while, I too would guess that if wishes were like the clouds in the sky, they will... Life flows like water, and rain is the final answer. The water levels may sometimes... And what, ultimately, is the difference between the rains that fall upon all of us?